but you got to speak loudly. Okay, this is Harry Ricker, and I met Harry yesterday, and he is a good friend of Joe Bay. Hey,
Hi.
Joe, who I haven't
Hello.
seen in about 30 years or worked with them. And they're ministering out here in front of the Philadelphia Temple. And Harry is going to share a quick testimony of how he was a Mormon and got out of it. Okay, go ahead, Harry.
Well, I was trying to convert Mormon missionaries when I was 17 years old. That's not a good thing to do. And so I had the critical literature, but I didn't know how to answer their biblical proof texts. So that's the one that fumbled me up the most. I got in, make a long story short, and my doubts started when I read a chapter, I think 4 of Josh McDowell's Evidence That Demands a Verdict on the Biblical Manuscript's Reliability, and that definitely contradicts the chronology of 1 Nephi 13, the Book of Mormon, that says the great and abominable church, which is most abominable above all other churches, which means it has to be a big church among small churches. They took away many plain and precious parts from the Bible, and they did this to pervert the right ways of the Lord and darken the hearts and the minds of people. But the Dead Sea Scrolls were created and written in about 200, I think it was 200 BC until about 70 AD. And that was when it was in the hands of the Jews, before it went to the hands of the Gentiles. And the Book of Mormon specifically says that the Bible, when it was in the hands of the Jews, was pure. It went from its purity to the hands of the Gentiles, and then you saw the formation of Great and Abominable Church, or GAC as I like to call it, GAC, and that's when it was corrupted. That completely contradicts the entire chronology of the facts. And in 1830 they were able to say that type of thing, because we didn't have 7,000 Greek and Hebrew manuscripts, not even close to it. Since that time that Joseph Smith made that created that chapter, and other early Mormon leaders making their denigration of the Bible, we found so many other biblical manuscripts that totally disproves the Book of Mormon chronology. And from there it took off. I don't know which one came next, but then from there things started to fall. The proof text I got answers for and so forth. So there was no reason to stay in. It was just overwhelming evidence against the LDS Church. And then I left.
And you were from a Christian background to begin with, right?
When our family moved to where I grew up most of the time, I was the one that wanted to go to church. My dad was Catholic, so we decided to take the Catholic route, but the church wasn't open. It wasn't a mass time. So next week, my mom says, "Hey, it's my turn," and we went to First Baptist in the city that I was in. My dad didn't go because he was Catholic, although lapsed. And I grew up basically evangelical, so I did have an evangelical background.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You bet.